Hey guys, it's MrWright bringing you that weekly motivation. Let's jump right into it. The day that I ran 20 miles. So, did a little bit of research on what you're supposed to do, and then a good majority of it, I kind of followed my heart and listened to the voice that goes on the inside. So, I did the basics. I ate a few hours before the run. I packed food and water for a meal after 10 miles. 10 miles into your run, I learned you're supposed to do that. So, did the basics of what I thought with the minimal research that I did. Also keep in mind, the longest one up into 20 was 14. So, let's start from the beginning. I stretched, I warmed up really well, and left my house, followed a trail that I had marked prior, so I knew where I was going, I knew how far out, and then I was just gonna come back to my home. So, started my run, and things were awesome. Things were great. I had so much energy. I was jumping over cracks in the road. I felt like really energized and really excited at the start. And that's not to say I didn't doubt myself there, because at the very beginning, the darkness kind of crept in and I thought, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I'm going for too long. I had marked my trail earlier that day, so it was kind of muddy and there was water everywhere, and I was kind of convinced myself not to do it. But I did, and like I said at the start, I was energetic, it was great. I overcame that first time that I tried to talk myself out of it and started. So I get about 3 miles in, and as I'm just trucking away, I got my cousin with me. He's riding a bike. He wanted to do a bike ride, so it just worked out that he was gonna do a 20-mile bike ride. I was gonna do a 20-mile run. He had the food and the hydration for me, and he was supporting me and motivating me, and I'd like to think I was doing the same to him. I had my headphones going, and about 3 or 4 miles out or so, I was looking to the side of the road, and it was the most beautiful day. I really felt God's presence. I really felt my mother's presence, who is no longer here. She passed away when I was a kid, so it was pretty humbling after just a few miles looking to the left out to the sky and feeling the presence of my higher power and of my guardian angel. So I hit 5 miles, and I've done 5 miles a couple of times. I felt pretty good. So me and my cousin are just kind of trekking along, and then I finally could see the hill where it would be 10 miles. So a while back, when I looked at it, it looked way far away, and it looked really high, and it looked really scary. But I kept telling myself over and over that I could do it. So I'm just kind of run, trekking away here. And then I get an hour into my run. And that is when I asked my cousin to get out in his bag, and he was stopping his bike so he could get into his bag. And I had a little meal. I had some raisins and some energy chews, fruity chews, and some Pedialyte. And for you guys that are new at running, open up your Pedialyte bottle before you go, because as I was running, I popped the lid and there was a little aluminum thing, and I was tired at that point, so it wasn't so easy just to tear that off. I was kind of using my teeth and then poking, and I could tell my cousin was signaling like, let me open it, and I was like, no, I got this. I was still motivated, so I'm running, trying to open. So anyways, make sure and open up that whatever your beverage is that you're going to rehydrate with, have it open. So I finally get through it, and let me tell you, that was the most refueling drink. I had it tasted kind of funny, but it didn't matter at that point. So an hour in, I rehydrate and I have a little snack, and I just keep getting closer and closer to that big hill that marked 10 miles. Finally, I get to the very bottom of the hill, and by that point I was calling it the stairway to heaven, because when you're at the foot of it, it went so high up. I'm like, hey, I'm on the stairway to heaven, let's get it. The wind had picked up, so it's windy, and I knew that it was getting pretty bad because even my cousin who was on the bike next to me we were just kind of, the wind was at our back. So, I mean, we were able to use it, but it was still, we could feel it. So as I'm halfway up the stairway to heaven, I see what looked like my wife's car at the top. And so I hit Derek and I said, is that Abby? Well, I could tell the closer I got, I kind of made out her custom license plate, so I knew it was my wife. So I get to the top, and keep in mind, I ran past 10 miles at this point. So it's like the stairway to heaven, 10-mile marker, and I went on to run a little bit further because when I made the trail, when I went and marked everything in the morning, that's where I turned around with my truck. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm just gonna turn around where my truck was, because that's how I used to mark my trail. Anyways, see my wife, turn around, and my wife had my kids in the car too, so they were really excited. And so we turn around, and at this point I'm running down the stairway to heaven. So I'm past the 10-mile marker. I ate a little snack and I rehydrated, and now we're running down. And I felt the excitement of that after just seeing my wife and my children, and we have the momentum from coming down. And unfortunately, that is when I decided to think about my last longest run, which was 14 miles. So I'm thinking about my last long run, 14 miles, and ironically, that is when my phone died. So I could no longer, at that point, I was no longer being tracked, and that kind of bummed me out. The music was gone. That kind of bummed me out. So here I am, 14 miles, all my electronics are gone, so I hand them over to Derek. He has a bag, he takes it, and it's just me, Derek, and what ended up being, it was the universe, the world. Because once you get rid of all the noise, what is it that you notice? Well, with me, I put my head down and I started contemplating in my mind stopping. So when I put my head down, I imagined in my mind stopping. But as I put my head down, I noticed to the left there was some water in a ditch. And the water was flowing towards me. So it kind of gave me a little bit of motivation, like the water was moving real slow. And I was pretty tired at that point, so that's what I did. I started going slow. So it was at that time that I also realized the wind had picked up way strong. So I'm running into the wind. And with me being so exhausted, I felt my body falling forward. So I ended up with this connection with the wind, even though I was exhaustedly falling forward, with the wind pushing against me, it kind of kept me at this level pace, and I was still able to move. And I had the reminder of the water over here to just slow down, you know, and keep moving. Don't stop, don't stop. Well, I was able to tune in on that. And then I made the mistake of looking to my right. So I had the wind with me, I had the water reminding me, but when I looked to the right, I seen a herd full of cows. So the mind is so clever at that point, because it took me back to a memory when I was a child of Bugs Bunny, or you know, the cartoon character that has the red flag and the bull comes and gets them with the horns. Well, my mind was so clever in trying to get me to stop running that I thought this cow was gonna get me. Added to the fact, the running shirt that I had on was red. So for sure, my mind had made the connection. I have to stop now or a bull's gonna get me. So when I'm thinking about this herd of cows that's about to run me over, that is when I seen the most beautiful bird come out from the bushes, and he distracted me from the herd of cows. And I'll never forget that bird because it was about this big and it had an orange shape on its stomach. So as I focused on him, it took my mind off of the cows. And when I wasn't focused on that, I would turn left and I would have the water and the wind. So I am in tune with everything around me. And I'm getting closer and closer to the finish line. And that is when the magic really started happening. So up until now, I've been trying to convince myself to stop. And I knew in my heart that I didn't want to. And I kept pushing. And I run across the bridge, which would be my 5-mile marker. So at this point, I'm 5 miles away from home. My cousin Derek's already pumping me up, motivating me, and we're almost there, And as I approach the outskirts of Duncan, it occurred to me that God was with me, that my mother, my guardian angel, was with me as well. So I was instantly reminded that I'm not alone. I am not alone in this thing. I have Derek with me. I have the wind, I have the water, I have the cows, I have the birds. But when it occurred to me that I had my higher power with me, added to my mother, I knew there was no way that I was gonna stop. So I make it up the last hill to my home, to the finish line, and completely exhausted, as you could imagine. My wife had a big meal prepared and I ate, and I was falling asleep at the dinner table. Tried taking an ice bath. That didn't work out too well. It helped a little bit, I should say. But the feeling that I got after running 20 miles, I look back now and I realize it was by far one of the most scariest things that I had ever done. And I'm learning it's through situations like that, okay? When you go to do something scary and your mind and your body are telling you not to, that is when you must do the thing that you want to do. With me, it was a run. And I set a goal and I worked very hard to get to it. And I just want to remind you guys of that today. If you set a goal, and it needs to be a big goal, if you set these goals, and I guess I shouldn't say it needs to be a big goal, no matter the size, just remember everything's gonna tell you to not to, or to stop, or let it go, or take a break. But I'm here to encourage you guys to do it the right way, okay? And that is pushing on, pushing forward, even when your body and your mind tells you not to. So, before I jump off this video, this is Mr. Wright, bringing that weekly motivation, and I just need to thank all of you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you.